what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Travelers Proc. Today we're joined by BluesUltra. For those of you who don't know Blues, which shouldn't be any of you, Blues has been around the Smite scene since, is it season 4 Blues? Is that right? That's when I remember it for sure.
Yep, I started in Spring Split of season 4.
Perfect, yeah. So Blues has been doing, you guys know all those like cool little graphics and stuff you see on Twitter. Those are all Blues. He's been doing them for 6-7 years, whatever it's been now. So super excited to be joined today. I've never spoken to you before. I don't think, outside of maybe a couple Twitter DMs.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever heard much about you in general. So I'm really excited to ask you a few questions today for sure. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, I think this is my first actual appearance in like a voice call, so
That's
happy to be here.
crazy. That's crazy to think about. It's been so long too that you've been around.
Yeah, I just really keep to myself, if anything.
Thanks for coming on. Then I really appreciate it. Like Mike said, you've been doing this stuff since season 4. Did you do SPL and the patch notes from the start, or did you just get into SPL, or was it the patch notes first? I can't remember.
It was the SPL stuff first. Initially, I think it was with the SPL relegations for season 4. I was just doing a spreadsheet on the side, not really posting it publicly. But when the Spring Split started, I saw on League they were doing these really cool stats for LCS, and I kind of wanted to try and do something like that for Smite.
So do you watch League a good bit?
Smite's my only real esport that I watch. I only played League during middle school with my best bud. We tried playing Smite, but I never really got him to get into Smite or anything like that. So,
gotcha. That's cool. That was a pretty similar experience that I had with League. I played it for a little bit, and then I tried to keep track of it and keep up with like the esports scene, and I just was too overwhelmed. It was just too much information with me. But I remember exactly what you were talking about. There was a bunch of, I remember they had a bunch of
Twitter,
crazy
right?
stuff. They had like proximity stats and stuff like that. Do you remember those?
I think so, but mine back in the day in season 4, mine were really bare bones, just like KDA and stuff. I've been doing a lot more nowadays, though.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think that's easy to say now that you've like expanded it so much, but at the time, it definitely did not feel bare bones at all. Like to me, it always seemed like a lot of effort. Like I always thought it was cool because it was useful to me as well. Like it's cool to see, but it was also useful as a pro player. So it was definitely awesome when you started doing it.
Yeah, when I started, I was really getting into the League in season 3 at the season 3 Worlds with Obey Alliance. I really loved how the casters kind of built up their story and everything. So I kind of hoped to do something cool and highlight how much time and effort you guys as pros put into this game, and hopefully it's like a cool thing to look at.
Yeah, I'd say so. It definitely is.
I mean, I was gonna say every time anything that you post comes out about SPL, everybody when we're scrimming, it's usually like after an event. Yep. We're scrimming, everybody's like, "Oh my god, Blues posted!" Yeah, literally every single time. Every time, and everybody's like, "No way, I gotta look at it."
That's crazy.
And then everybody's always looking at it for like 15 minutes, and everybody's like, "What the heck is your team doing? Why are we not starting this game for the next scrim?" And we're just looking at the stats.
Dude, you know what's funny about that? Did it ever, for us, it led to the same like argument or the same joke every time. This would specifically happen when I played with Alec Finoke. He would look at the totem stats and be like, "Yep, I got every single, like, look at that top totem control again." And then whoever our jungler was, whether it was Twig, Sam, or Scream, they'd all be like, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure I got like 70% of those for you. You're actually like a fraudulent totem getter," or whatever. And then they would just argue back and forth about who deserved the totem credit. And that happened literally every single week when we saw the stats.
Yeah, that's funny. I always love when you guys post like little cropped pictures of the infographics. It's so funny to me. I didn't know that you guys like rushed out to look at them or anything like that.
Yeah, it's interesting too. Like to me, I love seeing, especially the like pick ban stats, because I'll normally, or like win rate on first pick, second pick side, I'll normally have a pretty good idea of like, oh, I feel like this character actually lost a lot this weekend, so it'll be stuff like that. But I'm curious to see whenever you post.
Yeah, I started doing what are they called? God and item stats in like season 8. It's a lot of work to like type in a bunch of item names and everything for each match, but I hope they're helpful.
They are for sure. Were you gonna say something?
Yeah.
Earlier?
I was gonna ask, what other games did you play before Smite, and like what got you into? You said season 3 is when you got into Smite, like a lot from the Obey Alliance run. Did you play any other games besides League before Smite, or no?
Yeah, so funny thing is, I think my first time seeing Smite or any MOBA ever was when I was 11, and it was like Sly Foxhound posting Smite gameplay. He was like on the original Zeus in the classic Conquest map, and I had never seen any MOBA like that or a third person type of thing like that. So I really, I really enjoyed seeing it. And in middle school, my best bud and we would queue up some League and everything. As I said, I always tried nudging him to play Smite with me, but it never worked out.
His loss.
Yeah, for real.
In my like freshman year of high school, that was season 3. I started playing on PS4 in the closed alpha, and I like really fell in love with learning all the various god names and the kits and how they like made them. The newest god around that time was like Ama or Raijin. I know they were doing like a Japanese event to like kick off the Pantheon, but yeah.
That's awesome. Did you play any sports like when you were in high school or middle school, or did you just mainly play games and just hang out with your friends and stuff like that?
uh, Most of my free time went into Smite in like in my freshman year. In my sophomore year was when I was starting doing the infographics, so that like took up a bunch of my time after school.
That's crazy. So you've been doing it since your sophomore year of high school, and you've just been doing it since then. That's awesome, though. Oh my god.
Yeah, I really just love doing it. It's so much fun to me.
That's awesome. Have you ever had any like help doing it?
No, I'm like a one-man crew pretty much.
My gosh, that's awesome.
I like learned on the go. Like when I was talking about the SPL relegation for season 4, that was like my first time working with Google Sheets and first time working with Photoshop to like make those infographics.
That's so cool. That's awesome.
So you make every single thing in Photoshop, and then you do all the stats as well. So does it? I'm guessing now it's like well, actually, I don't know. I'm assuming, but I could be wrong, that it's a lot easier to do it now just because you're used to doing it, or is it still just as hard as it was when you started?
Yeah, it's a lot easier nowadays. Before back in the day, I didn't really like format it that well because I was such a noob. Nowadays, I think I got things under control for like spreadsheets and stuff. It's pretty easy to share everything I have with people.
Have you been able to automate it a little bit, like the actual data side of stuff?
So for data, I pretty much input everything manually, and then from there, like all the numbers and the item names and god names throughout the match, and from there the formulas kind of take over from there.
That is so. Honestly, that's still so impressive to me because you've been so consistent with it as well. Like, I don't remember if you've ever even missed a week. Maybe you have, like, randomly here or there, but I really don't remember one.
I don't think I have missed a week. I usually
so
just
crazy.
cover regular play and not really like the for fun lands or whatever.
Right.
So what? So you said Obeo is like one of your favorite teams. Do you have any other teams that you really liked, like throughout the years that you followed pretty closely, or no?
Yeah. So how I got into Smite esports is pretty funny. The first match I ever saw was on YouTube. They were streaming LG versus Enemy, and that was like
Oh
the
my
really
god.
long set with the Tom Clancy end.
Oh my
That's
god.
awesome. What a first set. That's
Now
crazy.
that set really got me to watch LG throughout the season. They didn't make it to the Sweden land, but I thought it was really good.
And that LG team's the Barracuda Jeff Hinla team, right?
Yeah, that team.
Nice.
Farah and Jeff, yep.
That's awesome. And then, is there any other teams from any of the other seasons, like season 5, season 6, season 7 that you really liked watching?
Since season 4, I don't really like root for any specific team. I try not to be biased with stats or whatever, but I really enjoy all the pro players. I think they're all awesome to watch.
Yeah, that's awesome. I feel like all your stats, like from looking at them, nothing's ever been biased, at least. So I think that's really, really, really good. And I think everybody appreciates it a lot as well. Like, that's another good point that you touched on, is like, I guess if you were to cheer for one team, then maybe you would make all the infographics about the one team that you really like. But you give every single team, no matter how good or bad they do, like some time, like in the infographic, and it's really cool.
Yeah. Recently, I know for the Masters LAN, I split it into, instead of doing week 1 and week 2, I split into the I forgot what the brackets are called. The bracket with the SEC teams and the SPL teams, so no cross SEC or SPL team matches were included in the first week. I just try to do my best with that.
Yeah, that honestly, it's so impressive to me because I'd always thought like I would even talk with friends or teammates and be like, "There's no way he can do all of this." Especially, was it season 8 that you released the spreadsheet? Was that the start of that? Like,
Yeah, that
that
was the big spreadsheet.
Yeah, especially when you started that. I remember everyone was just thinking, "There's just no way that you're able to do this by yourself every single week, and you just do it like." It's honestly so impressive to me, the amount of work that goes into it, and it makes sense if you are just someone who really likes watching. I mean, it's kind of weird for me to hear that because, like, from a pro player's perspective, like, you want people to be fans of the game and enjoy the game and like Smite and like share that as a community. That's really cool. But I kind of feel like it's like I'm also a fan of like the stuff that you do, because not only is it so it's really cool to me just because one of my favorite things about watching like sports growing up, for example, is I just love the stats side of it. Like, especially like the boring sports, like everybody thinks like hates baseball. I literally just like baseball because I think stats are interesting around it. And like when you started doing that stuff with Smite, it kind of made me even more of like a turbo nerd over it because I just loved all those cool little things. I remember that was my E United year, I think, in season 4. And I remember my favorite thing to look at, me and Scream would look at this every single week, was the average game time of like all of the SPL teams. And I remember like, because at the time when the regions were separate, there was actually like a pretty drastic difference in metas. And I remember like the NA average game time was literally like 5 minutes shorter than Europe. And it was really cool to kind of see that type of difference. And we actually used that, like going into like regionals and into worlds, we had a pretty good idea of like what everybody was playing, like how, like what pace of the game they were all playing. Like, of course we would watch VODs and like try to see it with our eyes, but the stats actually did help a lot. So it's kind of funny, like I bet you actually underestimate like how useful it is to the pro players as well. Because like Aror said, like literally as soon as you tweet it every single week, at worst within the day, I'm like going through everything and like trying to see like, you know, what's different, or like maybe if there's something that stands out.
That's pretty funny. I didn't realize they were like that OP. I kind of just do them for fun.
Yeah, no, they are mega OP. They're awesome.
Yeah, they're super helpful, and they're just, and like Mike said, it's just so much fun to look at stats. I feel like I'm in the same boat as him. Like, I watched a lot of basketball, like NBA growing up, and I always like to look at box scores and stuff. And just looking at that reminds me a lot of like just NBA box scores, and just having all that information and you present it like so I love looking at it. I don't know, the way you do it is so good.
Thank you.
And it's just fun to look at. And then the patches as well is really helpful. Like I do look at the patch notes like a couple times, but as soon as your graphic's out, I'm always on your graphic after I see it for the patch notes every time.
Thank you. That's fun. I always get comments that are like, I never even read the patch notes. I just wait until Blues posts them on Reddit, and it's like,
That's awesome.
that's funny.
That's great.
So what's the longest graphic you've done? Was it a patch note, or was it? I'm guessing it's okay. But my guess is that it's either like an event like this last event where it has SCC teams and SPL teams, or it's like the beginning of a season like infographic for the new season. Like, what was the most work you've ever put into like a graphic that you've posted before? Like, how long did it take you?
It's hard to say. The season start infographics take a while. Even now, since like the patch notes the date for patch notes have been moved up by like a day, it's a little rough to get those done in time. But I'd say probably the season start infographics, they take a good amount of time to get done.
When you say the season start ones, you're talking about like the year 10 like new patch notes, like those
10.
big ones. Yeah, that makes sense.
And this year for Season of Hope and Season of Souls, those took a little bit.
Yeah, they've kind of made you do it like 3 extra times this year, huh? That's a little funny.
I still find it fun, so I'm here for the long run.
I don't know if we asked earlier. So, do you still like play a good bit of Smite? Do you have like a role you main, anything like that?
Not as much nowadays. I think the last time I played was probably when they brought back the new HUD to try it out.
Oh yeah.
I usually just queue up a solo queue or conquest solo lane. I find it really fun to just chill and knock out people whenever I have the time.
Yeah, that makes sense. I feel like that's always my go-to. Well, maybe less so with SOT for me, but like if I just want to play a game to just hang out, I'm normally just like playing arena and just trying to have fun, like not going like super crazy with it. So that makes sense.
I love that you play Soul Lane. Soul Lane is like the most chill role I feel like in Conquest. Like you can just go in there.
Yeah.
You could either W key run it down as hard as you want, and then either like get every blue buff and get like a bunch of kills. You could just sit under your tower. Like I've been playing like Fafnir solo and stuff, and I love to just sit under tower and do nothing for like 20 minutes, and then walk out of the lane with like 1,000,000 gold, and then just be like, I'm in the game, guys. Actually, I'm here.
Yeah, I love playing solo lane. I just like sometimes I just like alt tab and like nothing happened, nothing important happened while I was just like switching music or something.
What's your favorite god that you've played? Like, I guess like for me, but I hate that question. So I guess I should ask you like, what are some of your favorite gods? Because it's my favorite god's always changing. Like I always have like a god that I really like, and then I'm like, I like him still, but I like this god better now. But what have been some of your favorite picks like over the years that you played when you were playing more, especially?
I tend to lean towards Guardians. Of course, in solo lane, I love just playing Yorm and just not interacting with anyone. But my favorite god throughout the years is definitely Kuzenbo. I remember in season 4, I would just queue up that corrupted arena mode and just push people into pits. That was crazy fun.
Kuzenbo is like, in my opinion, one of the funniest characters in the game, especially if you're just trying to like kind of trolling people a little. Like he's just such a goofy god. Like everything about him, like the way he walks, like his voice lines, just everything about that god is so goofy. I love Kuzenbo.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun in the corrupted arena map. Whenever they bring back that mode, I just insta queue Kuzenbo for that reason.
It's awesome. I love the deathmatch at the end. Did the first corrupted arena map back then have the deathmatch? Did you play the one with the deathmatch as well, or no?
Which
like
corrupted arena?
I don't know. Was it There's the corrupted arena is the one with the black holes, right? That's like the original
Yeah.
corrupted arena, and then there's the one with the water with the serpents that would eat you, right?
Oh, I didn't play that one.
Oh
that
yeah, I don't
much.
remember that either.
And then there was one with lava as well. And I can't remember if it was normal.
Oh, the lava one?
Was it normal corrupted arena or the lava one that first brought in the death match?
I think it was the lava one. I remember the lava one for sure having it.
Yeah, I remember playing Herc on PS4 in that lava map.
Nice. Dude,
Wait,
that
was the
lava
lava
map
map
was
the
sick.
same?
Yeah, I think it was. Besides, like, instead of the whole, I don't think like the big rocks come down like in the original corrupted arena. I think, and then the lava one didn't have the rocks. I don't think.
Gotcha.
Or at least I could be wrong. I don't know. I didn't play it that much, but I loved playing it just for the deathmatch. I remember.
Yeah.
There's that clip. Do you guys remember old spectral armor that it used to fear if you took damage?
Oh yeah, I do remember that. Did you get spectraled everyone into the lava?
Yeah, so there's a clip of Cyclone. I was playing with him, and he was playing Humbots, and he literally was sitting at the edge, and someone walked up to him and he spectral armored them off. It was so
That's
funny.
awesome.
I love that.
That's funny.
I would have never thought of that. That's awesome.
When a new item comes out like that, are you like, oh my god, another new item I have to input now? Or are you like, oh nice, a new item? Do you hate when like a bunch of new items come out, or you just are like, whatever, it's just another day?
Yeah. I usually have to update the database for my stats just to include them, and sometimes I know what happened for the Reverend Fridwin. I like mistyped the name and it just like screws everything up. Oh my god.
That does not sound fun.
Yeah, definitely not. I tried to keep a spreadsheet just for my own use this year that was just like a god builder that I could automate. And it took like 2 or 3 patches where I was just like, it's too many new items. Like I can't do it. Like I had to change like all the formulas and stuff. So you definitely have more patience for it than me. Do you ever have I'm kind of curious because I think especially the last few years, maybe there's like conversations about characters that just constantly get played in the SPL. Do you ever have a character like Yamoja where it's like, I am tired of typing stats for Yamoja. Like, I just want any other god, like just anyone else.
Yeah, whenever like whatever the meta hunter is, I always have to type stats for that. But I think it's really cool to see like, because I've been doing it for such a long time. It's always cool to like type in a new god that's been played. Yeah.
Wait, so sorry if I missed this earlier. So do you watch every single game?
I try to. There's some games I can't watch because of work, but
yeah,
I try to watch every match.
That's really crazy to me because I'm kind of curious. Like, do you ever have a game that maybe you miss and it's like, I think what you said about the hunter meta is kind of true. Like, I remember there's been a couple seasons, maybe it was season 7. It was literally just like Rama Cupid every single game. Like one of the hunters dude, it was just Rama Cupid every freaking game. And I wonder, like, is there ever a game that you miss and then you like go to put in the stats and you're like, oh my god, someone played like, I don't know, Artemis or something and I missed it, you know? Or like any like surprise picks where you're like, oh, this god like actually won. That's kind of cool.
Kinda. I remember like whenever someone picks like a really weird god, like when Johnny would pick Apollo in the jungle, I would have to like double check and like go back into the VOD and see if I typed that correctly or if I seeing things.
Aror plays Pele and you're like, hold on, that doesn't make sense. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Keep going.
No, I was done.
Oh, okay. Yeah, go ahead, Max.
I was gonna say on the Hunter stories, I remember at the beginning of this year, Ishtar was really popular, and everybody on my team, besides Cyclone, was like, man, Ishtar just wins every single game. And he's like, no, she does not win every single game. And then I remember your thing came out, and everybody's like, oh, she doesn't. She was like 2-12 or something in 14 games. It was crazy. Like that was like something recent, like at the beginning of this year. It was just so funny.
Dude, our team had the exact same thing happen, but with Vote. Like everyone other than Vote and I were like, "Yeah, don't you guys just think she like owns every lane and she's just always fed and like she's just all..." We're just like, no, man. Like, I don't know. It's I feel like dueling specifically, it always happens where like your teammates are just so convinced, like, "Oh yeah, these gods are just OP. Just top two them every game." I feel like most teams just always top pick their duo.
Is there any gods, Blues, that you've seen that you're like, why don't people pick this more? Like when you see it either like maybe picked once or even if it's not picked at all, like in any of the metas that you've watched, since you've watched so many of the games, are you ever like surprised that people aren't playing these picks?
Whenever I'm looking at the list of gods that haven't been picked or banned, I'm kind of hoping they get picked just so we can have a complete 100% on the gods played. But I'm a pretty casual person. I don't really know what's really viable and competitive.
Oh, another thing I was wondering about is, did you ever talk to Hi-Rez like with your graphics? If they've ever approached you about them and like been like, these are really cool, this is sick, or is it never, or they've just never been like, hey, what's up? I don't know.
I tend to like stray away. I prefer just like being on my own and like having creative freedom with what I do. I'm pretty happy with just like being on my own though.
I like that a lot. I think it's really
that's cool.
Yeah, the thing with like passion, if it becomes like what you become paid for, you might just like stop caring so much about what you do.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it definitely does change the dynamic. Absolutely. I'm kind of curious if you haven't watching for so long. I know that you mentioned it was the LG enemy set was like the first one that really got into it. Have you had other sets throughout the years that like really stood out to you? Like, what were some of your other favorite sets to watch, or maybe cool like storylines, or just anything that stood out to you?
Yeah, so I think it was season 5. I think it was Auror's team, Splice. I think it was against SSG. That team, Bear's team. I remember it because it went super long into the night, and I couldn't keep watching, so I just like put on some Demon Souls. I was like playing video games on the side. I that's all I really think of.
Was it? You said it was season 5. Oh, I'm trying to remember what set
I
that
think
was.
so.
Must have been a regular season. So,
Yeah, regular season.
Yeah.
In like spring.
And oh my god, was it like? I know there was in spring. We had a bunch of games that went 60 minutes, so it had to be one of those sets. Mike, do you remember the game we played against you guys? I can't remember. It was like it went 3 games, and that's like the split. We lost every game, but the first game went like 60 something minutes against you guys, and then we literally played.
Yeah.
I think we played SSG or the team that Barrow was on that same week. That set you're maybe talking about. It was that same week, and then I think we played like 1 or 2 60-minute matches against them as well. I remember all our games were just going like forever, and it was ridiculous for the time.
Yeah, I feel like I remember some random game like that where you guys like I want to say like no, you still had best at the time. I don't know, dude.
Yeah,
There was some game. Yeah, there was some game you guys played Nua against us, I think, and I remember the game just going 60 minutes, and I just remember my carries being super upset because they kept having to Aegis Nua alts at the start of every fight. That's all I remember from back then.
I remember the way that first game ended is that I think was Scream was on your team still at that time, right?
Yeah.
And I think Ven was still on your team as well because it was like the beginning of the year. The way it ended is that Scream insta pulled Cyclone. He was playing Ulur. Scream was playing Daji. Insta pulled him into speed buff, and then you guys won. Like it was just like a 60-minute game, and then it was just over in like a half a second. It's always so funny how like games could just end in like the most anticlimactic ways. Like after it's like 60 minutes drawn out. Did you watch the set in season 7 when we lost to PK? I remember that's a lot of people's favorite set as well. When they have the 3 Phoenixes down. No, not the base race. Do you remember that set at Worlds or no?
The World sets, they're always like super hype. For that one, I do remember because I have like a personal Twitter and I just like spam tweet whenever like a really good set's on, and I'm just like really rooting for a good comeback, you know?
Nice. That's how I watch basketball. I literally I'm always like, I'm not really a fan of any of the teams. I just want the game to always be close for the last 2 minutes, and then I don't care who wins. That's how I've always watched now.
Yeah, and it's also always fun to root for the underdog story. Like, just anyone who's like trying to come back or something. It's always so much more fun.
Is there any world set that like sticks out to you that you're like, oh my god, this team actually is going crazy that you never expected, or like, are you like, this team did a lot better than I thought, or no?
Probably just the years that SK and PK won. Those sets were always really really fun to watch as a spectator.
Yeah, both their runs were so crazy as well. Like, so many best of 5 or like game 5s and comebacks, and just
so many games at me and Mike's expense as well.
Yeah, part of the game though.
Mike got him in the finals and I got him in the quarters and the semifinals.
There's something about Paul, dude. Can't do anything about it. Unlucky.
Is there any other games that you play now, or no? Or are you just all mainly Smite? You said you play Demon Souls. Do you like Souls games or no?
Yeah, I'm a big Souls guy. Another game that I've been playing since I was a kid, Maple Story. It's like a Korean MMO that's been around for like 20 years. I think everyone should just like play an MMO and just like really progress on a character. I think it's so much fun.
Yeah, you're preaching to the choir. Grinding a character in an MMO. There's like, I feel like it's like the ultimate like satisfying like thing about gaming to me is like character progression in general, and just like dumping a ton of time into it is so satisfying.
Yeah, I played WoW forever. I still have my WoW character that I made in 2005. I still play on till this day. So I love MMOs and like.
Do you know your
like
played on that?
Yeah, it's over. I think it's over a year now. It's like 300 something, 380 days or something. It's a lot.
That's actually so cool.
What's your favorite Souls game? Do you like the originals? Are you a big Elden Ring guy, or do you like Bloodborne and those types?
My favorite's still Bloodborne. Bloodborne's so much fun. I really love the setting and everything. It's still my favorite.
I've never played any of the Souls games. I've watched my friends play them a ton, and I've just watched all of them. Bloodborne's like, I like how like the setting is there, like the aesthetic of the game. It's just really cool. Isn't Bloodborne considered one of the harder ones as well, or no? Or am I stupid?
It's like it has like a steep learning curve because you can't block everything like you can in the Dark Souls games. But I'd say it's like once you get a hand of it, it's pretty all right.
Did you play Sekiro? I heard that one's the hardest. I don't know if I'm right about that either, but I heard Sekiro's
yeah, I remember
for
Sekiro, I think Sekiro came out like around when the spring split of season 6, I want to say. Season 6 started. So when the game came out, I played for like 5 hours and then stopped for like a week just to like do Smite stuff for the new season. So
nice. And then when you came back to playing, were you like, what the heck am I doing? After like a week off of not playing it?
Yeah. That game's also really tough to learn.
My friend played it and he bought it, and he hated it because he was so bad at it, and he gave it like a really good try. He played it for like I think like 10-20 hours, and he's like, I just don't like this game at all because I'm just so bad at it. And then he couldn't refund it, so he just had it sitting in his library like for a really long, because he got it like right when you said, like right when it came out. And then I think earlier this year he started playing it again, and he's like, this game is actually kind of sick. I was just terrible the first time I played it, because he played like a bunch of other Souls games. Like he played through all like the dark, like the main Souls series, and then he was really into Elden Ring when it came out, and then he picked it back up like after he got some more Souls practice, and he liked it. But he still says it's like, from that's his opinion. I don't know if it's right or wrong or whatever, but he was telling me that's like the hardest one out of all the Souls games he's played for sure. Have you played any Souls games, Mike?
I try to play like, it's kind of funny. I was talking about this like the same thing yesterday. I played a good bit of Dark Souls 1, like originally, maybe like a year after it came out or something like that. And I think I got maybe halfway through. I was at like I think it was like Ornstein and Smo was the fight I was at. And it was kind of just one of those things, like, I don't remember, like, I don't think I raged out or anything. I just like kind of stopped playing. And I don't really remember why, but I remember like I always thought the games were pretty cool, but I do this thing where like if I play like any like RPG or any like fantasy game or an MMO, sometimes it's like hard for me to stick to the same character. Like I want to try out like all the different classes and like sort of feel out what I like. And I remember I wanted to try to do, it was like some like maybe like magic like style character, and I remember like not liking the mechanics of it in Dark Souls, but I always wish I went back to it, like just the actual like, I guess like, you know, whatever you want to call it, like melee combat mechanics of it, I think are really cool. I thought about playing Elden Ring recently because it just seems like such a good game. But yeah, I've never beaten one of the games.
But so, I cut you off, Blues, about Sekiro. My bad. What were you gonna say too before Mike started talking about Dark Souls?
Oh yeah, that game's pretty rough. I had a friend who like sat with me while I was playing it, and he would always be like, "Wow, how couldn't you dodge that?" I was just like, "Man, you try playing this game, bro."
Yeah, so I feel like it's always easier to be a spectator. That's for sure. Do you ever watch people play it in like Twitch chats or any like YouTube playthroughs, Blues?
Like I usually only watch like the playthroughs of people I already follow. But if I see someone who's like trying the game for the first time, like that I know, I usually watch that.
Yeah, I feel like that's always so fun to just be just to be a spectator for, because like I feel like everyone goes through that initial learning curve of like just getting owned by the same mechanics over and over, and like watching them kind of struggle through it and then figure it out. I feel like is always a lot of fun.
You know who was playing it recently that I saw was, I think, Sam for soccer started playing Elden Ring.
Oh yeah, Sam.
Is that his first playthrough? Do you know, Mike, of like a Souls game?
I don't know about Souls games in general, but it wouldn't surprise me. It's definitely his first time playing Elden Ring, I think.
But yeah, I feel like people love watching new players play it all the time. I remember, what's his name? I used to watch Asmongold all the time, and he got into it, and everybody loved that when he started playing it. And then his friend McConnell, his Elden Ring playthrough was so troll. Oh my god.
It's also just so funny to see the chat just like roast them nonstop. Like it's just so troll, man.
I was telling my brother he should try to play a Souls game because I feel like everybody on Twitch like loves those games no matter what, and they're fun to watch. Like I don't play them, but I'll watch people play them all the time. Like if a streamer's playing them, like it's fun to just watch it.
Yeah, that's how I am too.
We were gonna do a chat Q&A, so if anybody in chat has some questions for Blues about any of his spreadsheets that he does or wants to know anything about him, go ahead and put some stuff into the chat.
Did you see what Walterlast? Blues, if you ever, I'm gonna butcher the pronunciation of this, I'm sure. But if you've ever played Mabinogi, similar cross of players with MapleStory.
Mabinogi.
Yeah.
I didn't play Mabinogi. I mostly just stick to MapleStory as my MMO. I've tried other MMOs, but MapleStory is the only game that I really just play on my own.
Which other ones did you try?
My friend and I tried Dragon's Nest, I think, and I know my dad would play WoW, but I never got into it.
Speaking of dads that play WoW, shoutouts to Moswell's dad. He loves playing WoW. What's the most impressive Smite stat that you saw? Or sorry, I butchered this sentence. What is the most impressive stat that you saw in Smite? Asks Tobar George.
I think I remember in like season 4, like the summer split. I think adapting had like a 42.5 KDA in one of the weeks, and I was just like, "Wow, that's crazy."
Yeah, that'll happen every now and then.
Little easy 42.5 KDA.
Yeah.
That's a little high.
Dude, was it Dimmy who went the whole Falsewood like season 2 without dying, right? It was something like that.
Something crazy like that.
That's not. Rico also asked, is there anything that you've wanted to implement that was too difficult or just didn't quite feel right for your infographics/charts?
For stuff for this season, I've been trying different stuff each week. I know recently I did like a Soul Surge type of heat map kind of thing. I've been experimenting a lot this year, but I don't think there's really anything like if there's something that I can think of, I will try to do it unless it's too difficult for me.
Yeah, that makes sense. Are you talking about like, is it normally like one of the, it's like at the top right, and you'll highlight like, oh, like this like top, like I don't know what it is, like you said, Soul Surges, or maybe oh my god, what are some other stats? Maybe it was like Scepters last year. Did you do it for Scepters at all? I feel like there's been a couple times where you've tried.
Called, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, last year was with all the obelisk stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't do that this year because they removed it, but whenever they add new stuff to Conquest, I'm always just trying to see what I can push in there.
Oh, you know what? Now that you like jogged my memory on it, I also remember when you started tracking Scorpion control. I remember that being a pretty big thing that people would look out for, because there were some teams like the Kings, for example, they were always way up there on Scorpion control, and I think it was actually a pretty big learning curve, I think, for a lot of teams to realize like, oh, like we actually need to contest this because it's like they're getting like too much gold, or like they're just getting a huge map advantage off of it.
Yeah, I remember in like the start of last season, the Kings pretty much had like the highest in like all of the objectives while I was typing it out.
Yeah.
It's funny because like you're saying like how the casters built the storyline up for Obey and stuff like at Worlds. Like last year, I feel like your graphic, like the SPL stats graphic, like helped kind of the casters build up like the King storyline with like Scorpion control and like all the objective stuff, because like it was so accessible to like everybody that watches SPL just because you had your stats posted every week, that like they would talk about it and then like it'd be easy for everybody to go look at your stats. So I feel like you really helped like it's funny, the King storyline last year got heavily helped out by your graphics, I feel like, a lot, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. I think for the Kings, oh man, I just lost my train of thought. I'm sorry.
It's all good. You can come back to it if you remember.
Yeah, I was just saying it always happens to us as well. Don't feel bad about it.
Happens to me way too much. I literally do it at least. You know, when I was going to bring up the Ishtar thing earlier about the hunters, when I started talking, I lost my train of thought of what I was going to say there, and I remembered as I said the hunter thing, and I was like, oh my god, I remember. But the other week, I literally forgot something, and I could not remember what it was, I think, the entire episode. It happens to me all the time.
It's crazy that you guys go for like usually like 2 hours plus just going off each other. I could never do that.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes it's like sometimes it's easier, like if it's a player that we both played with, and we kind of like almost take turns, and then like the other one can like relax for a second or like try to think of other memories. But yeah, I mean, it just happens. Like just some days it's definitely easier than others with the whole memory bank. It's kind of funny because like the thing I had said about the game time, I remember like ever since you were releasing it, that was actually a thing that I would like it's literally still a joke that I'll have today of like win or lose, I'm ending the game quick. And it started literally from your stats. It started because in season 4 we just had the lowest average game time. I think it was like the fall split, I'm pretty sure we averaged like 23 minutes was like our average game. Like the game was over in 23 minutes. And it's like it's just funny how like something that I'm literally still saying 6 years later, it came from that.
Scream also says it all the time as well. Like when I played with him, he'd be like, "Win or lose,
oh yeah,
we're out of here quick."
Yep, that's where it came from. We were looking at the stats too much. We loved it.
That's crazy to me. It's pretty like eye-opening to me. I didn't know you guys like
Oh my god,
cared that much about the stats.
dude, that's another. Okay, you know what else there was? I remember now. It was at the start of season 8. It was with it was our Jade Dragons team with Hurry, and at the start of that like spring split, Sam and I we played our first like 2 sets. Like we played one weekend, and I think we 2-0'd both the sets. So we each only played 4 games, but we each played a different character in all 4 games, and all of our other teammates had like repeated one at least. And I remember like we jokingly were like, "How long do you think we can go playing a different character every single game?" And at the start of season 8, we went like you would keep posting it every single week, like unique gods picked, and we would look at your spreadsheet because that was the first time you released it, and we would go and look over to like unique picks or whatever. And I think we got to like 8, and then we like lost game 2 of a set, and then we were like, okay, we're done. Like we're not gonna do this anymore.
I actually remember that.
Yeah. The joke was on Sam though, because in the 9th game, in that best of 3, we ended up winning that set. But I last picked that game, so I happened to play a different god anyways. Like I wasn't trying to, but it just happened. And then we won. So I did win the friendly bet. That has to be on the record. But yeah, it was so troll that we did that just because of the spreadsheet.
Do you have anything else you've been working on recently, like stats related, that you would like to share? Or I guess like not sneak peek, but do you have anything cool that you've been working on, or anything that you want people to know about?
Not really.
Just same old.
Yeah, since SPL has been on break for a while. But when the new split starts, I'll probably do like updated stat totals for this year or whatever.
Oh, like the midway point thing that you posted last year? That thing was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Are there any other socials that people can find you on? Like Twitter, I know is at BluesUltra. I have it there. Is there any other social things that you want to plug?
It's pretty much just BluesUltra on Reddit, Instagram, and I think it's still called Twitter unless Elon Musk decided to change that.
Yeah, I forgot.
Wait, you post on Instagram too? I didn't even know that. That's really cool.
Yeah, just patch recaps or whatever.
Nice. That's awesome.
So if you guys need either SPL news or just Smite patch news, definitely check it out, because I feel like you have the best stuff for any of the like new patch stuff coming out.
Yeah, 100%.
Is there anything else, Mike, that I missed that you want to talk about, or no?
No, I don't think so. I was just checking chat to see if there's anything else from there, but yeah, honestly, I think I got everything from my end. Thanks again for joining us, Blues. It was a good time. Oh, actually, there is one other question. Blues, which team do you think will be top 3 phase 2 after all the changes? Of course, well, the good old roster change stuff.
Jake Redemption arc this split, hopefully.
I'm down for a Jake Redemption arc. Honestly,
that would be sick if he actually did that.
Yeah, it would be. It would be really cool. Do you watch a lot of the other? I guess maybe that's my last question. Do you watch a lot of the other like interviews or like other content surrounding the SPL Blues?
Yeah, I love when Hi-Rez does the content days on Thursdays. I always like watch all the fun stuff they do, like battle sounds. I think it's really fun to
Oh, I love
just
those.
see the pros do stuff.
Nice. Well, yeah. Do you have anything else, Max?
No, thank you for coming on. Like, this is super sick. Me and Mike were, when we started doing the podcast, like we wrote out like a bunch of guests that we wanted to have on, and like you were one of the first names that popped up because I feel like just you've never, like you said, you haven't really done anything like any voice things like publicly. So it's cool that you came on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah, thank you guys for having me. It was like a lot of fun to be here.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. Thanks for I mean, also just thanks for all the work that you have done and continue to do. It is super appreciated. So hopefully you know that everybody loves all the work that you put in, and yeah, we're definitely very thankful for that.
Yeah, it's not just us. I feel like every SPL player, like every team I've been on, has looked at your. Like, there's like not one person that hasn't looked at like your stats that you've posted, like on any of the teams I've been on over the past 6 years since you've been doing it. So I really appreciate everything. And I feel like that's from everybody in the SPL as well.
Thank you. Yeah, I hope I can continue doing it because when I started, I don't think there was anything like it when I started. But yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I think that's all then. Thanks again, Blues, for everybody watching. We'll be actually, I think next week is maybe a little bit different. Wait, is it? No, next week is normal. 2 weeks from now, we might have to change our schedule. We'll be back in person, I think, but we'll update all of you guys next week on that. I got a little off track of the week, so we should be back here next Saturday, same time on Aurora's Twitch, watching it live. And then you guys can always find the episodes on my YouTube at PBM Smite or Spotify inside the SPL. I do also want to mention, I know a lot of people have mentioned wanting to watch it on Spotify. It has been a little bit behind, and just because we're not doing it in studio, guys. Normally Hi-Rez just takes they just take our audio and they can just throw it up on Spotify. We are working on that. Aurora and I will let you guys know either on any platform. Maybe we'll just tweet it out, but we'll let you guys know whenever all that's sorted. So thanks for being patient with that, and yeah, thanks everybody for watching, and thanks to Blues again.
Yep, everybody take care. Thanks, goodbye.
One if I'm trolling from Professor BM. You can hear the audience. I wonder if there's